Coming back to me. I'm newly clean. I haven't had a drop of drink in a while, and I'm starting to think about the things I've seen, the places I've been, my highs and lows, and my in-betweens. The drugs were bread and butter for me. Had the sex for breakfast, lunch, and tea. And with me were my family, my only escape from reality. Reality, coming back to me. Reality, coming back to me. I want to fly. How do you go on when it hurts like hell on the inside and the outside as well? I see my life fresh before my eyes, and it's no surprise I've been living a lie. But somewhere deep inside my mind, I wanna find what'll set me free, so I can be the best of the best that I can be, instead of running away from reality. Reality, coming back to me. Reality, coming back to me. I want to fly. Oki maiki tokai na tutu. Oki maiki to utai po. Kite wahi o na tsukuna. Mate tika mate pono mete arokae. Reality, 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 reality. Activity in my life is the cage that I chose to hide, fear, pain, and rage. My mind is clear, and I found the key to the path that set me free. Back home, I'm known as a big-time druggie because of my addiction. Addiction. They trust me with their things or their money because of those affliction. I chose the life that smashed my dreams. My mission was hate through smoking weed, but now I found some solid ground, a way back to reality. Reality, coming back to me. Reality, coming back to me. I want to fly. Oki waiki tokai na tuturu. Reality.
The third one really grows out of those two. After all, it does take blue and yellow to make green, doesn't it? When we take a really good look at selfhood and how to keep it green and well, we find that we need a value system for a guide. So there's that fourth strand, that red one. Every person needs guidance for their own safety and to avoid harming others. Many young people don't have any red light warning system that keeps their conduct within safe limits.
And that's where I cried my heart.
I was playing with my cousin at copper hockey practice. Mum turned up. She's stressed out because she hasn't taken any drugs. I'm in line, waiting for the next instruction. I could see her sitting there, giving me the evil. She started swearing at me. She takes me outside with a kick and a punch, drags me into the toilet, and shoves me against the wall. She starts strangling me, and I can't breathe. She throws me onto the floor and starts beating me in the rib.
My uncle hung himself, but he didn't die. He's pale and cold, and his chest looks like a butterfly from the life support. His eyes stay open as I wipe away the tears. We watch him for 2 days. They turn off the switch and he gives 3 huge gasps for air. He left behind 2 young sons.
He was smashing my mum into the handrail of the stairs, piercing her skin. Blood was dripping down walls, leaving stains on the carpet. She was so torn up, I couldn't even give her cuddles. He took advantage of me because I was only 6. But as I got older, I kept trying to let them know. But when I got to say something, all I could see was him. His green eyes, his brown skin, and his black bride. I kept seeing his face and got scared. He used to take me into the shed and cover my mouth so I wouldn't cry out loud. It was like my heart had fallen out of my body and torn into little pieces. When the truth came out, we all got split apart. She picked up a pot and threw it at him. Then he grabbed a fork and stabbed her in the hand.
He kept on telling Mum that I wasn't his son, and he started beating her to bits.
He took her head and started rubbing it into the blood. He kept asking her if she liked it. He did it harder until she said yes. Then he told her to clean up her blood and go make him a feast.
And that's when he picked me up by the throat, threw me on the ground, pulled off all my clothes, put his hand over my mouth and said, "This is what you're gonna get."
I felt proud because I just won my first rugby game. He asked if I wanted a ride home. As we were driving, he turned the wrong way. I couldn't jump out because the door handle was broken. He said if I didn't do what he wanted, he'll kill me. He pulled out this baseball bat and started whacking me with it. I felt so empty. My joy was ripped away.
I would sit in the corner of my room, crying, hoping that somehow my mum would come and save me. As I grew older, I drove myself sober. I felt useless and I couldn't cope. 2 years ago, I joined a gang. And I was told who to have sex with and when. At the time, I didn't care. I thought I was being loved.
Hey,
home in my mind. Te wairua in my mind. Te tinana. If you take my hand and show me the way to go, will I have the grace to follow? Mate mea kuangaroa. Mate mea kuangaroa. Kea te marama.
We're getting into the issues of the green strand and your future. What's in it for you? Every morning you wake up to a day, one small slice of the future, because the future arrives a little bit at a time. What's it going to hold for you? Some things you expect and hope will happen. Maybe things beyond your control. Stop them from happening. Maybe it's the weather that stops the sports and the picnic. Or you slept in and you missed the bus and you didn't get there. The weather was fine and those things went ahead. But that sleeping in and missing the bus, that was under your control.
Come on, Willie, tell us what you want to do with your life.
You see, life is a reality. Of course, that's why we talked about pole vaulting. Help for a high jump to get you up and over. The pole could be from a friend, a teacher, an adult as a mentor. But you probably have to ask for the help rather than wait for someone to notice the help you need and to offer it. So, what is mentoring about? Well, it's the provision of a relationship to a young person on a one-to-one basis. It is supplementary in quality in relation to family relationships. All right, where did we get this mentoring from? Well, we get it from Greek mythology, actually. Over 3,000 years ago, the Greeks told the story of a Greek warrior called Ulysses, who was setting out to go to the Trojan War, and which is the famous war, that came to an end when some of the Greeks hid in a wooden horse and got taken into the city of Troy. Ulysses is going off to that war, and he's got a son, a young teenager called Telemachus, and he's a very responsible father, and he loves this son of his, and he says, who's going to look after him and oversee his development while I'm away? Because I could be away for 10 years. As a matter of fact, he's away for 20. 10 years fighting the war, and then 10 years making the journey home, going through all those adventures which Homer recorded as the famous Iliad. Anyway, he looks around his friends and relatives and associates, and he picks a man called Mentor. And he commits his son Telemachus to mentor and says, I want you to take my place with this boy of mine, and I want you to relate to him, care for him, do everything for him that I would be doing if I was here. But I can't be. So I'm handing him over to you. And the story of that relationship is what has given us the name mentoring. Someone who steps in, provides a relationship that for one reason or another either can't be given or isn't reaching through to the experience of a young person. A word of warning. Don't look for crutches. They won't get you over a hurdle. They are used to prop you up inside. Usually they're first used as an experiment. Then they get reused in repeat situations until they can't be done without. They start to become chronic crutches. We don't say it that way, though. We say the usage of that substance has become addictive. The person is becoming an addict. They can't throw away the crutch. They now chronically depend on having a supply of the substance. Make up your mind that you are going to be a person who self-manages without crutches, and that you are not going to be a person who hobbles round on permanent props. If you have already lost the strength to manage without being propped up by a crutch that is addictive, then ask for help, and where you can get it, from a school counselor or a mentor, or go to a student committee member. Ask for pole assistance to get you over the challenge of breaking free from a habit that harms. Now, don't you believe the lie that these substances or crutches of dependence can give you a life of good experiences, and that they do you no harm anyway. It's a lie that you would be foolish to believe. A night with friends that relies on crutching it with alcohol or drugs in the faith that it will produce a good time is now so usual that it proves how quickly and widely lies spread and are accepted as being normal. Binge drinking is acknowledged to be a teenage problem. That's uncontrollable drinking, drinking without self-managed restriction or limits. Yoshi, as the inside person that you are, needs inside guidance about right and wrong, about good and bad. Early in our program, we said that a culture provides a value system, some guidance on what is right and what is wrong. Underneath the concept of right and wrong is another concept, the concept of good and evil. Good is conceived as thriving in light, openly, for it has nothing to hide. On the other hand, evil thrives in darkness, secretly and hidden, for there is shame and guilt attached to evil. So, metaphorically, it is seen as the conflict between light and darkness. You see, you can't have a society without a value system, just as you can't have a school society without a college culture and values. But this is something that you should think about in your personal search for a guidance system to live by.